Starting off with background NPC talking about how the game industry is absolutely failing right now. Well, mostly just the AAA and corpos.
It's a little hard to believe that just a few weeks ago we were coming off of the whole summer showcase season, all feeling pretty good about things. Trailers for days, big reveals, everybody hyped, the sun was shining, the birds were chirping. I looked away for 5 minutes, and when I looked back, the entire AAA industry was on fire. I won't lie to you, it has been kind of a challenge trying to keep up with all of it these past couple weeks. I had to break the screen time limit I set on my phone and give in to my chronically online self once more, because in the span
I hate it whenever somebody's on my side, damn it. Alright, I had to move. Let's get back into it.
Of what feels like a single week, we got historic layoffs, studio closures,
Hell
developers going on strike, Sony deciding that right now was the perfect time to announce they are killing physical discs, Xbox getting up in front of everyone to admit they blew $20 billion and are now scrambling to right the ship, and then somehow through all of this, Nintendo is just standing off to the side with suspiciously good behavior. After basically losing the Palworld patent war, they immediately pivot to announcing an Ocarina of Time remake, giving staff in Japan further raises, and adding
W Nintendo, I guess, for being the least shitty right now. New
maps to Mario Kart World for free. Which, does that finally make the game worth $80? No. But it is a nice gesture. Sometimes when something catches fire, all it does is destroy. But every now and then, from the ashes, something better rises. So with that, let's dive in. You know how storage prices have been absolutely through the roof? Well, the RAM Cartel, aka Samsung SK Hynix.
I love that we're actually calling it that. We're calling it how it is now. All of these companies, and companies like them, people need to stop defending them. They don't love you. All of these freaks are fucking evil.
And Micron, who between the three of them make up something like 90% of the world's memory, just got hit with a class action lawsuit. The suit basically says that they have all been in cahoots to choke the supply and drive the prices up. Funnily enough, 2 of those 3 have already pled guilty to doing this exact same thing back in 2005.
Wow.
Very interesting. And speaking of finding new ways to squeeze people, EA announced an entirely new advertising division, an actual department built from the ground up specifically.
I saw that Angry Joe was very angry about this.
To sell brands ad space inside of their games, which is kind of wild because EA has been telling us it's in the game for 30 years now. We all just assumed that they were talking about the football. It has been a historic week for both the industry and separately for Gooners. Marvel Rivals dropped a Captain America summer skin that I am pretty sure has already gotten nerfed at this point. But then Fortnite went and added jiggle physics back into the game for the first time in, what, 8 years or something? So it's kind of a wash, but as we all know, Gooners united are never divided. Now, it has been a minute since we have talked about Stop Killing Games on this channel, but they have unfortunately had a rough couple of weeks. First, they got let down by the EU Commission, and then again by the state of California, who...
Yeah, fuck them. Not Stop Killing Games. I love Stop Killing Games, but fuck the government, fuck the corporations. If they don't want to meet our demands, then we're just gonna do it ourselves. They are literally competing with free. They are competing with piracy. If you can't come up with a better service than free and open, like I can just move files however I want, make physical discs all I want, then you're fucked. Good luck.
Who halted the Protect Our Games bill, but they are still out there fighting the good fight for digital games consumer rights, so I am still very much rooting for them. Although now, on top of that, they've also got to fight people on Twitter, because they shouted out a few creators the other day who have been big supporters of the movement, and one of those creators was Asmongold, and, well, you can probably imagine how some people on there have responded. On another note, Black Myth Wukong is getting a full global...
They're gonna be against it just because people that they don't like are for it. They're a bunch of fucking evil freaks.
Concert, which is honestly really cool. My only question is whether that cute little baby Buddha is going to be there. Meanwhile, the Odyssey is continuing to get heavily ratioed on its latest trailer. Yes, I did do my part.
Dude, I made some posts about this. I made an AI post about, in another timeline, we would have had Ellen Page as Helen of Troy, and dude, people lost their fucking minds. It was one of the most engaged posts that I've ever made.
And I also learned recently that the official tie-in game for this movie is on Roblox. So between that and the sold-out IMAX tickets,
Dude, of course it's on fucking Roblox. When is everybody gonna realize that all these corporations are connected? They do the same shit because they're making money off of each other. And they all say, it's for the children, it's for the children. That's why we have to make all these changes that fuck everybody. But then they make exceptions for places like Discord and Roblox, which are known to be the worst. The absolute worst. They're evil. They want bad things to happen. They want you to feel like you're going insane. Because then you're not paying attention to what they're actually doing behind the scenes. Which is fucking destroying everything. And if you don't think that that's what they're all about by now, then it's just gonna keep getting worse. And honestly, I think it's too late. I think these freaks have done it. I think they actually destroyed everything. But they can't win. Because just because they can destroy everything doesn't mean we're gonna stop creating. We just will stop consuming the shit that keeps getting destroyed. Which is their own shit. So, fuck them, I guess.
Genuinely do not know who this movie is supposed to be for. The last time I sat in a theater for a Christopher Nolan movie that wasn't Barbenheimer was Inception, which, when you think about it, is exactly what he is trying to do to me right now, planting the idea somewhere deep in my subconscious that this movie is somehow going to be good. And finally, Final Fantasy XIV is now handing Japanese players a giant in-game dog for paying their real-life taxes, and I do have to say that is hands down the cutest, most effective tax campaign I probably have ever seen in my life. Pay your taxes, get it.
But I don't like whenever government shit gets involved with my video games. I don't like real life shit in my video games. I don't want to think about it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Big dog, the IRS could never. Speaking of taxes coming due, we have to talk about Xbox. Huge historic layoffs were announced yesterday. This is the most massive, brutal restructure in the entire history of the company. They are cutting 3,200 employees through fiscal
I love to watch them crumble.
year 2027, and 1,600 of those people are getting let go immediately. Getting into what we know and what Asha, the new CEO, shared with everyone, they are straight up offloading a bunch of their own game studios that they previously bought because, in their words, they have realized Xbox is...
All the people that said that things weren't that bad, look at where we're at now. The chuds were right all along!
Not the best home for every type of studio, which is just a very polished way of saying we spent a fortune collecting all of these teams and we don't want to play with them
told
anymore.
them.
Double Fine,
We said it, but people just labeled us as haters instead of critics.
the Psychonaut studio, and Compulsion, who just...
If you're not officially a critic, then your opinions don't matter. Your facts don't matter. Well, the facts were still facts.
Just put out South of Midnight are both getting told to go be independent again while getting to keep their IPs, which I actually think is really cool of Xbox. But Ninja Theory, the Hellblade team, plus Undead Labs, who have not put out a game in the last 8 years, are getting sold off to brand new owners who have not been named yet. On top of all of this, they are being even more transparent about
They're gonna get stripped down and sold off, guaranteed.
the whole thing by confessing previously that they blew $20 billion over the past 5 years and are effectively bleeding cash at this point. Asha openly admitted that the entire Xbox business model as it stands right now is fundamentally unhealthy. She said that their profit margins are somewhere between 3 and 10 times lower than their platform competitors. And then she dropped the fact that in a typical year, this division was losing 64 cents on every single dollar that Microsoft put into it. And a huge amount of that traces right back to the fact that their big master plan did.
But they're gonna spend $400, $500, $600 million plus on an unfinished Halo game with missing features. How the fuck?
Not work out the way that they intended. They tried to be everything all at once: console, PC, cloud, and bet the whole house on Game Pass. Everything into going multi-platform, everything into buying up these massive studios, and none of it grew the way that they had hoped. Asha admitted that they now find themselves competing not only with the largest publishers, but also with smaller independent studios, which further proves indie and some AA have really been dominating the industry. Instead of Game Pass lifting the business up though, they kept throwing more and more money at it, hoping that it would just turn around, which comes right after they lost millions of subscribers last year when they raised the subscription price, a price that they have since had to lower again. Like we talked about at the start with the RAM.
It's gonna eventually have to be free, and they're just gonna not be able to put big games on there.
Cartel, there is the actual Xbox console piece to all of this too. Xbox, much like Sony and Nintendo, have raised prices on old consoles to compensate for the whole RAM and storage mess, but underneath all of that,
which is just gonna make piracy worse for them. We're gonna make the Xbox One S more expensive, but you can just fucking emulate those games or just get them on PC.
It is also a pretty huge and public admission that console sales are just in the absolute gutter. Both Xbox
And I wonder whose fault that is. It couldn't be Microsoft. It couldn't be Sony. It couldn't be all these corporations that are behind all of the fucking AI and bullshit that made all the prices go up. No, it couldn't be that. And now they're suffering because of it. And I'm loving every fucking minute of it.
Xbox and Sony are sitting at their lowest hardware sales in something like 2 decades now. But even with that, what actually sells a console? The games. We will be coming back to Sony in just a bit on this, but for...
Actually, I think it's more than just the consoles selling games. I think that we've gone too far into consoles being media centers and doing too much and basically becoming shittier versions of PCs. There used to be a huge difference between having a PC and having a console. A console was like an exclusive experience, but now they're all the fucking same. Even if they have technically different games, there's not much difference.
For Xbox in particular, you know the phrase designed by committee? Asha said that in some parts of the company, even a basic piece of work or normal everyday decision has to drag itself through as many as 14 layers of management before anything actually happens. Yes, 14 layers of management. She said the whole corporate structure got so...
Which we fucking called it.
So incredibly bloated that their platform teams actually grew 40% bigger this console generation, even as the number of people playing and the amount of time that they were playing were both going down. So these teams just ballooned.
I think they got a little bit too big for their britches during COVID. They were seeing record numbers because people were staying home, so they were like, well, we got all this extra money, let's just hire some bullshit teams and just push our gay propaganda. It only works for a decade. The bullshit culture only works for a decade. We're moving into the next bullshit culture that's trying to fake everything and take over. The real culture never goes away. It never dies. There's always something trying to take it over. And I think it's going to be the Muslims and the Jews next. I think it's really going to be about religion.
Like crazy while the audience was shrinking, and now they are working really hard to fix that. Given that insane management pipeline though, what games did all of that time, money, and management actually get them? Well, there's Halo Infinite, which bled players so fast that at one point Microsoft just renamed 343 Industries to Halo Studios in an attempt to scrub off all of the bad vibes. And
I played Halo Infinite whenever it first came out on Game Pass, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? One, I'm playing it for free. 2, they spent like fucking $500 million on it. 3, it wasn't finished. 4, it was just like they changed the formula of Halo for some reason and made it open world, which it wasn't really, because it was like this, just like, I guess, open landscape with towers and stuff. It was worse than a Ubisoft game.
Then, of course, there's Bethesda, and genuinely, Todd, what have you guys been doing this entire time?
Fire them all. Fire Todd. Honestly, I wouldn't care if you shut down the whole studio. How many games have they made? 5? They've made 5 games in their fucking lifetime? 5 or 6? Let's see. Let's count them. We got Daggerfall, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. There's 6. There's 6 fucking games in their entire lifetime that actually mean anything.
What did all of that time and all that money actually buy for you? There was Starfield, I guess. There was Redfall, unfortunately. And then just total and utter silence on Elder Scrolls 6. Although that looks like it is finally starting to change because it seems like they are being
Bro, it's gonna be gay. It's gonna be gay.
Marched right back to their big IPs, more or less by force. We also got Bleeding Edge, more Hellblade, Avowed, the Outer Worlds 2. Well, commercial flops. Like Xbox stated, obviously a huge amount of this ultimately comes down to a gross mismanagement of money, of production, timelines, expectations, overhiring, but it is also that they were pouring all of that money into the wrong types.
Remember when everybody was just hardcore defending Avowed and Outer Worlds? Dude, and here we are. Here we fucking are. No, they're successful games. You're just a hater.
Types of games. Chasing the wrong ideas coming out of their own studios, like the no curvy women in games. Microsoft, it went into HR initiatives, it went into hiring expensive consultants to explain their own players back to them, it went into working with companies like Sweet Baby Inc., who once reportedly admitted that on top of making everything feel a little bit more fake and gay, their other stated goal was to just burn the industry to the ground, which I don't know if they fully thought that one all the way through, because if the industry burns down, so do their jobs.
And by the way, the industry can't be burned down. Just their industry can be burned down. The industry as a whole will always live on. If there's no games to be played, it is so easy to just make a game. There's so many resources out there that people will just move over to indies, which is what pretty much happened.
However, there are still games on the horizon. We have got the upcoming Gears of War, Halo Remake, Fable. Although, Asha, if you can somehow hear me, I would possibly be interested in the new Fable if you could just fix the character models, because right now almost every character looks like...
Shut it down, restart it. Just try again and say we fucked up and just make a new one. And actually, like, you could just can this whole thing, make a smaller game, downscale it, make a Fable 3 2, and actually call it Fable 4. Or like a Fable 2.5. Make an in-between game.
Like they would chew on drywall. But despite my jokes, I really am not trying to dance on anyone's grave here. We will see whether Xbox...
Fuck them! These people are fucking evil, man. They've been shitting on us this entire time, trying to destroy everything that we love. They do it on purpose. They say they do it on purpose. They want to own the chuds. All the things that they said about Charlie Kirk. Fuck them. Fuck them all.
Actually turns out to be a phoenix that rises out of all of this, or whether it just burns to the ground. And to be honest with you, I do think Asha is handling a really terrible hand about as well as anyone realistically could right now. As much as journalists and podcasters try to say the opposite, the hard truth of it is you can't keep making things that are losing you money. You can't keep pouring your best people and your biggest budgets into the areas that are bleeding you dry.
But people won't be allowed to be creative if they don't just spend $500 million. How are you gonna be creative if you're not allowed to spend money? Dude, that is the stupidest cope that I've ever heard. If you're actually trying to be creative, you're gonna find ways to spend the least amount of money possible and still have a great game that you're actually passionate about making, rather than passionate about pushing an agenda and trying to make as much money off of the modern audience as possible by just pushing ads everywhere and tricking people into glazing your games, and having a bunch of people who are just fucking liars who just latch onto it because they want to own the chuds, and then they don't actually play the fucking games that they defend. They don't watch the movies. They don't buy into the corporations because they're commies. They actually hate all of the corporations. I don't hate all the corporations, but they will pretend. That's why they work with Muslims. Even though it makes no fucking sense for them to work with Muslims. Because they don't care. They're just out to destroy their demons.
At some point, you do have to be willing to stop.
That was a hell of a rant.
Figure out the things that you are actually the best in the world at, and then go do those things better than anybody else. Which is why the ending line that Asha gave kind of stuck with me the most out of all of this, by saying that Xbox will not be the company that mistakes longevity for inevitability. I think that is spot on, so let's see if they can stick the landing. So while Xbox is over there...
They might be able to barely hold on, but they are not going to be the industry leaders that they once were. They done fucked it up. The rot is... It's too deep.
Confessing everything and at least trying to right the ship, Sony is doing the complete opposite. Sony is out back calmly and methodically, just lighting whatever goodwill they have on fire and just watching it burn for fun. Because they dropped an absolute bomb of an announcement, sat back and watched the internet completely lose its mind, and have since remained very silent.
Where are all the people who were defending all the games that they were shitting out at that, what was it, Sony State of Play? What happened to that energy? They ain't defending Sony much anymore. There's still a lot of people defending Sony, but like, they're not helping. They're making it worse by not calling out Sony on their bullshit. You know what? I haven't had a PlayStation since PS3, so fuck them.
We're talking, I think, 140 million views on Twitter alone at this point, and then they just vanished. Went totally red.
And that's just on the one post. That's not including all the other posts that people made about it.
Video silent, which is a very bold strategy, I have to say. Just drop the biggest news possible and then disappear into thin air while everyone stands around waiting to jump you the second you show your face again. Do you remember?
And it gets worse the longer that you wait. You should have never fucking got off social media. You should have just kept posting through it, because then everybody's just gonna pile on that very first post, and it just gets worse.
Remember when the Ubisoft guy told everyone to get comfortable not owning your games? At the time, we all dragged him for it, but now I am kind of starting to wonder. Did he know? Was he actually trying to warn?
Yes, everybody knew. We all could see where this was going because corporations always do the most greedy, disgusting shit in order to make the most amount of money possible and keep their power.
Us, like some kind of sacrificial lamb sent out ahead to soften us up before this news landed. I don't know.
By the way, as piracy gets worse, they're gonna crack down more and more on it. All these websites that are still up, they're gonna be gone soon. They're really gonna go after them because that's their competition. Their competition is free and open piracy.
I thought about it too much because here is what Sony actually said. Physical discs are dead by 2028, as in starting January of 2028, you will not be getting a real physical disc for any new games launching on PlayStation anymore.
I don't care. I'm fine with this because I'm just gonna use the files and make my own physical discs, and I'm not gonna play them on PlayStation. Which I'm not even gonna do the physical disc thing, but the option is there because fuck them.
First and third party. And of course, this leads us to the bigger conversation about ownership, specifically digital ownership, and I'm putting the air quotes here because as we all know, this is a joke. It is the entire reason the movement Stop Killing Games even exists in the first place, and Sony went and proved the whole point themselves perfectly because in the exact same breath as announcing they are going fully digital, they also went ahead and deleted over 500 movies that people had already paid for.
You might as well do all the evil shit at once. Get it over with, so it doesn't just last a super long time and piss people off more and more over time. Just piss them off all at once, and then people will move on and forget.
Right out of their libraries over licensing agreements, which pretty much tells you everything you need.
I called it, by the way. Whenever they removed stuff a few years ago, and then whenever Xbox removed stuff, whenever Sony removed the interview just because people were mad at it, yeah, I saw the writing on the wall. And like all of the things getting ripped off of the stores because of licensing issues. Yeah, it was easy to see where this was going.
Need to know about what digital ownership actually means to them. And if all
it's gotten to the point where I just don't want any kind of fucking licensing in my games. Everything needs to be all original now because I just don't fucking trust it.
Of that somehow still wasn't enough. In case you thought they didn't want to burn more than just goodwill, a week ago, the Sony CEO got up and announced that apparently failing at live service games 11 separate times still isn't enough for them. Because even after wasting $3.6 billion on Bungie alone, only to lay off a big chunk of that same staff, even after having to put Concord down behind the barn after just 2 weeks, even after canceling The Last of Us Online at 80% completion, they came right out and said that they are still aggressively pushing forward to revitalize their live service pipeline.
Well, yeah, because they see all of these live service games just absolutely killing it still, and they're trying to still chase that bag.
You know what they say about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Well, Sony's about to find out for the 12th time. With all of that, you have to ask, where is all of the money going now? Why are Horizon fans who just wanted the next Horizon game out here getting handed Horizon?
Oh boy, so this insane, disgusting bullshit is not gonna last long. It's all coming to an end. I think after this next round of games coming out before the next generation launches, I think they're going to lose so much money that they're not going to be able to recover.
Horizon Hunters Gathering instead. Why are they still funneling hundreds of millions of dollars to Neil Druckmann just so he can play arts and crafts when the audience has told them loudly and clearly that they do not want it? On top of this, Sony exclusives have been dropping in revenue for the last 5 years now, so...
Dude, when that new PlayStation comes out, they're fucked.
Really, where are all the big, real system-selling exclusives that are supposed to justify these upcoming $1,000 consoles? Even their whole strategy of porting everything over to PC managed to backfire on them because they would just sit on those games for years before releasing them, and then when they finally did, they would turn around and charge you full price for a game that was already 3 years old. I don't know though, honestly at this point, they kind of just seem like they want to sit back and enjoy watching the world burn.
Yeah.
Because hey,
they got taken over by a bunch of evil commies that are just trying to extract as much money and power as they possibly can. The people on top are going to remain in some kind of power. They always fail up for some reason. That just fucking always happens. While everybody else just crumbles. And the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's just how it works. And then the next industry will start popping up. Then they'll start trying to take over that. And it'll just be the cycle repeats.
Hey, at least the shareholders are happy. All of this news signals to me that AAA...
The shareholders will always be there, by the way. They'll just move on to a different company, just like the people at the top. They'll just move on to a different company after they've burned everything to the ground.
...is finally finding out. After effing around for quite a bit. You can only blow so much money, be so unorganized and mismanaged, mistreat, and flat out ignore your true customer base for so long before it all catches up with you. You mess around for too long, and eventually, the bill comes due.
Yeah, the bill comes due, and then they're gonna pass those savings on to you, or the opposite. Oh, we fucked up, guys. I guess we're gonna have to raise the prices of everything and remove all the content from the stores that you paid for because we don't want to pay the price to keep the servers up and to keep the licensing.
The question is, how are all of these impacted studios going to respond to this pressure? Will they finally be willing to make those tough business calls? Will they
They're gonna have to stop making gay shit and start making stuff that people actually want.
finally listen to their audience and pay attention to the market? Will they have a better takeaway from all of this than just blaming gamers like so many before them? Only time will tell. Alright, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here. There is so much happening right now. It is a lot, but like I have said so many times before,
there's so much happening, yet there's not really anything happening. All the news that's been coming out is basically just the same news being carried over. There's like 4 topics going on today, and it's all just because Xbox and PlayStation are doing dumb shit. Moving on!